Kevin, how are you, buddy?
I'm pretty good. How you doing today?
Thanks, man. Hope you enjoyed your holiday vacation there.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Nice.
We take a little get away from things for just a little bit, but now we're back into it. So, we're ready.
We got to talk a little Roundball. We just spent about a half hour on wrestling, so our Hoops fans are clamoring for some information. What do you got for us this week?
I think now we're heading into conference games now, and during the week, and weekends are going to be full of showcase events. Probably starting in about a week or so. Saturdays are going to be places where you're going to hit a gym and you're going to get 12 games in a day. So right now, like I said, conference games are going to have started, and these big weekend tournaments, we're going to really get a chance to get to see some good basketball games again, with some very good matchups.
Who's really been a surprise team for you in South Jersey? Anybody really stand out as a team you thought, wasn't going to be as good as they are now?
Well, in the last week, I think the team that's really kind of jumped out at me has been Bishop Eustace. I didn't really think Bishop Eustace was going to be as strong as they've turned out to be, at least so far in these first 3 weeks. 2 big wins this week for them over 2 ranked teams in Paul VI and JL East. And, I think Bishop Eustace is kind of coming into its own a little bit. They've always been a program that's been very competitive and has put some very real quality teams on the floor. But, they got hit pretty good with graduation last year. And I kind of thought maybe this wouldn't be a year where they kind of would be in the mix a little bit, but they're playing very well right now. So, that's one team really in just the last week that kind of jumps right out at it.
What do you make of Wildwood Catholic? They're averaging about 75 to 78 points a game. They dropped 99 in their season opener. Is this a team that has a legit shot to win the Cape Atlantic League Championship?
I think they can compete for it. I think they've got a very nice balance of kids and a nice balance as far as the grades these kids are in. They're not a team that's lopsided with seniors or very young. They're a team that's got some kids right through every class, and they're all making a contribution. Do I think that they can compete for it? Yes. So I think they're ultimately going to win it. To be quite honest with you, I don't think anybody's year but St. Augustine, in the Cal, and I think that but on any given day, one couple shots don't fall here or there, and a team makes a couple biggies and stays with a squad, and a season that could have 20 wins all of a sudden ends with kind of a disaster, I guess. But like I said, I think Wildwood Catholic is definitely a team that can compete. We'll find out. I believe they do play St. Augustine, I believe, this week coming up. So we'll get a chance to see how those two teams match up against each other. But really, right now, in my opinion, in the Cal, St. Augustine is clearly the class of the league.
One of the real intense rivalries at the Shore, obviously, every year is Holy Spirit and Atlantic City. And 2 teams that are very interesting this year. Holy Spirit, obviously has Tyler Jones in the middle there. They're kind of waiting to see if they can get C.J. Barnes back in action, maybe at the end of January, early February. And Atlantic City, one of those teams doesn't really have that one particular standout star, but they have a lot of players with a lot of varsity experience. They're another team that's kind of waiting on Leon Daniels to get healthy. Where do these 2 teams stack up, in terms of not only the Cape Atlantic League, but, once states roll around?
If you look at, I think you look at Holy Spirit, and obviously not having C.J. Barnes for them was going to be something that they were going to have to overcome. And they've done a real nice job in these first 3 weeks or so of winning games and getting things done without him. So, I guess they've at this point some younger guys have stepped up and they're playing pretty well. And you look at Atlantic City, and it's a similar situation in that Leon Daniels has yet to play for them. I think he should be back. He was expected to be back, I thought, this week, but he hasn't played yet. And I'm thinking, when he gets back, that makes them even tougher if he plays the way that he's capable of playing and has shown in the past. Going into the season, I know Gene Allen kind of thought that with his team at full strength, it was going to be a quote unquote another typical AC year, and that an AC year is a team that's going to win 20-plus games, and it's going to be a very competitive basketball team and an aggressive basketball team, and one that you would probably see come play in March. So, I think for both of those teams, if they get both of those kids back, I think obviously they've strengthened both their squads, and when it comes to state tournament time, obviously we've got a long way to go, but I think Leon Daniels with Atlantic City gives them a really legitimate shot at a Group 4 sectional title, and Holy Spirit, they're going to compete. Non-public is always tough, regardless, but I think both of those teams would surely be enhanced with those kids back.
Talking with Kevin Minnick of the Courier Post. Does a great job covering high school basketball throughout the winter. Kevin, talk about some teams in the Camden County area. We see these teams a lot in that Coaches vs. Cancer tournament at St. Augustine. Teams like Camden Catholic, Rancocas Valley. Where do these teams stack up in terms of South Jersey hoops?
Well, you come up this way a little bit right now, and then some of the bigger teams right now. Camden is playing extremely well. They had a rough start the other night against Shawnee, but got halftime and really played a lot better and much stronger in the second half. And Camden team here is they're undefeated still, and they've got depth, they've got athletes, and they've played in 3 straight state championships, and sometimes I think people might forget that. And here's a team that's played. These seniors have never had an opportunity. They've had an opportunity to play for state championship, each year, and have fallen short. And they've been very, very close the last 2 seasons. So, this is a make or break year for them. And the big thing with Camden is they have balance across the board. Corey Greer transfers from middle. He's running the point. You got a kid like Miles Thompson, another sophomore, who's really coming into his own. And then, senior leadership in Brad Hawkins and Jamal Holloway. So, Camden is obviously a team that's going to be, very talented, and they're going to give everybody a test, and they're going to be tested. They're going to play a very competitive schedule, and I think big things for them are going to happen in Group 2. And another couple teams, Washington Township jumps out a little bit in Group 4. I knew that they had a lot of senior laden team coming back, but I didn't think they would maybe not be as good as they've kind of turned out to be. And they're a team to watch. And then a nice story up this way too is the fact that right now the state's leading scorer is coming out of Leap Academy, a small little charter school in Camden, down near Rutgers, Camden, and they're led by a senior by the name of Donovan Guess. And a little self-promotion, if you check today's paper, a little story on Donovan Guess. And, here's a kid who's averaging better than 40 points a game.
Wow.
At the school. And, it's not as if he's sort of come out of nowhere. He had a very nice season last year, averaged about 21, 22 points a game. But, Leap Academy is an independent, small Group 1 school, and they don't play the greatest. I wouldn't say they don't play the toughest schedule. And, but I checked this kid out last night, and this kid's a player. And if people get a chance to see Leap, if they have an opportunity, check them out sometime, and just to go watch this kid play. He had 47 points yesterday, and it was a quiet 47. It really was. But the kid can. He's got the quickest release I've seen of anybody in South Jersey this season, and maybe the quickest release of anybody I've seen in quite a while. He's athletic. He can get to the glass. He can slash. He's often double and triple teamed, and he's still scoring points. So, but like I said, the competition isn't the greatest, but if you can drop 40, you must know how to put the ball in the basket. So,
sure, definitely.
I think he's definitely one he's kind of come out of the shadows, and like I said, he's really starting to gather. He's getting a lot of attention right now, and worthy of.
Kevin, real quick before we let you go, I wanted to get a couple of quick thoughts on some high school football. I'm not sure if you saw today, The press for Atlantic City, St. Joe and Hamilton not going to be renewing that rivalry, at least for the next 2 years. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I really haven't given it a whole lot of thought, to be quite honest with you, because they haven't played in a couple of years.
Right.
And I know down there in Hamilton that had always been the big game, and everybody wanted to see that rivalry come back. But if they're going to play, in all honesty, if they're going to play that game's got to be played earlier in the season. I think both teams mentioned that. I know Paul Sacco did at St. Joe. If they want to play that game and both teams go at it full force and not worry about a playoff game, a state level game the next weekend, then they got to play it earlier in the season. Would you like to see that game? Sure. I think any kind of like crosstown rivalry game that's been around for a long, long time, that's always been competitive. People want to see that, and they'd come out to see that. But they don't want to play each other right now, so I guess maybe at some point they will. But obviously with the St. Joe joining the Cal and Hamilton in its third year or so coming up, that maybe things just kind of got to get a little bit settled in before they decide on what they want to do.
Well, one other thing, Cole and I were talking about this during one of the breaks. Obviously seeing Bo Melton down at a combine in Texas, and he just got an offer from Michigan. And with these top level recruits, what's your thoughts on these hype videos? You like them or no? Like when they announced their college decision.
They're okay. They're okay. I think that there used to be a time where the first Wednesday in February was an exciting day, in that that's when kids made their announcement, and that's when everybody kind of waited for that day and anticipated things. And nowadays, 9 times out of 10, kids are sticking with their decisions that they're making, and signing day has kind of lost its luster, so to speak. But it's a new age, social media, and everybody's on top of this, and it is what it is. And 10 years ago, we didn't have all this, and kids weren't, there wasn't a constant attention paid to the recruiting process that it is now. So, if that's what they want to do, that's fine, no big deal. But I was always one who loved signing day, because it was a time where if a kid was really good and he was down to a couple schools, it made for an exciting time. Just real quickly, I remember going back a few years, a kid at Winslow, Khalil Gloud, he literally flipped the coin. He was going to go with West Virginia or Rutgers. He literally flipped the coin.
Wow.
And I had that story. I had the photo, and it turned out to be a pretty big deal. But nowadays, you don't kind of get that too much. But the kids like what they're doing. These hype videos and all these edits and things like that with their photos in uniforms and stuff like that. It's okay. It's all right. I'm a little too old to worry about it. No problem.
All right, man. Good stuff, Kevin. As always, appreciate you coming on board. We'll catch up with you next week.
No problem. Anytime.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.